Be prepared for a future of corporate manufactured identities, where people lose their identity of birth and have it replaced by a corporate created identity. And the most profitable part about it, people will actually pay big money for their artificially manufactured identities. Welcome to the world of the cookie cutter human. VidarReturns. In our last video, we went over how feminism goes against femininity, getting females producing and consuming, and in the end discussing how feminism couldn't exist without corporate consumer capitalism. Link to that recording in the description. Though the ideology of feminism didn't grow in a vacuum. No, it stems from this world of materialist consumer indulgence. We have called it corporate consumer capitalism, but the name is arbitrary. It is this system that generates all manner of human dysfunction, a system which can be identified as promoting pleasure-seeking and material indulgence, an immoral or amoral system that will cause people to give up their life purpose in exchange for hedonist pleasures. Our self-identity is possibly the largest concept in how we understand the world. It is how we see ourselves connecting to the world, the way we as individuals relate to everyone and everything around us. Surviving as a social species of the earth, our historic identity of birth would consist of connection to our parents, siblings, and community. And just as important as the connection to those around us is the connection to those that came before us. Our identity of birth consists of our heritage, customs, and wisdom handed down by our ancestors. The generations of people that came before us with tales of suffering and triumph. Knowledge of lessons that have been handed down from elders to children again and again. An identity of birth, an identity of heritage. It is this understanding of ourself and our connection to the world that has allowed us to survive and prosper throughout the ages. And what has happened to that identity? That heritage of ours that has been molded and crafted for thousands of years so that we may fulfill our life purpose and raise the next generation superior to ourselves, and that we may also pass on the ages of knowledge and wisdom onto them. Our great forefathers and foremothers identified their character with prominent historic figures. They memorized and held dear to books and passages of wisdom handed down from their parents and grandparents before them. They respected their elders. They cherished the sanctity of family. And we see it being replaced by what? Our identities are being replaced by manufactured products and brand names. We identify our character with fictional Hollywood figures. We memorize and hold dear to popular jingles and songs from the mega music industry. We respect sports players. We cherish our Sony television and collection of fidget spinners. Do we see where this is going? Are you Adidas or Nike, Coke or Pepsi, McDonald's or Burger King? Which corporate symbol am I today? Thankfully, not everyone we know may be so extreme, but we can see that this is the trending direction of the future. When we reflect on our own lives, how many ties to corporations do we find in our identity? Music, media, movies, cars, clothing, fashion? How disconnected are we from our heritage when compared to previous generations? We are being sold commercially manufactured and mass-produced identities, and we are working 9 to 5 each day just so we can purchase them. As time goes on, we can already see people being sold new and more extreme identities. Identities of political parties, identities of sexual orientation, identities of things we previously had no affiliation with. In the future of augmented and virtual reality, people will become even further submerged into a world of purchased identity. Every aspect of people's physical appearance will be for sale. Change your race, change your sex. Change your species. Purchase a new body modification every week. And where does all this lead? Absolute ruin. It can't lead to anywhere other than our own self-destruction. Let's think about it. It has taken thousands of years and untold generations to form the basis of how we understand ourselves in relation to the world, only to be largely wiped out and replaced within about a century. People today think the way to get our proper vitamins and nutrition is through supplements and sugar-fortified cereals. We have science to help guide us to eating healthier food diets than ever before in history, but what do we do instead? We gorge ourselves with overstimulating processed foods from a factory, something that was likely ground up into a paste or powder and then squeezed out into a series of food-like shapes filled with chemicals and artificial colors. It is the materialist consumerism that will destroy us. We're evolving to be dependent on a corrupt system to tell us who to be and how to live our lives. A system of hedonist pleasure-seeking which can't do anything but create addiction and encourage endless material indulgence. And as a result, we've become disconnected with the timeless wisdom of our heritage, we've become disconnected with real role models, and we've become disconnected with plants, animals, and nature. We've become disconnected with our own life purpose. To conclude, this system and those who stay addicted to it are essentially doomed, controlled by artificial mentality, in an artificial reality manufactured in a factory. We can't breathe air without it being processed. We can't eat food without it being processed. We can't drink water without it being processed. Being disconnected from the most fundamental ability to survive on planet Earth will inevitably result in the death of our species. To think that we can continue to live free lives of hedonist consumption and be able to survive many more generations into the future is a fantasy to the extreme. Let us recognize the parts of our identity that have been compromised by this corrupt system. By acknowledging the parts of ourselves that have been compromised, we can then begin to improve ourselves and reconnect with the identity and life purpose we were born to have. Do not allow ourselves to be manipulated by a system that wants nothing more than to transform us into another insatiable and mindless cog in the machine. Let us be strong and let us seek excellence. Now's the time, if you haven't seen our previous recording titled How Feminism Destroys Femininity and Female Essence. Link to that in the description. Also follow now to stay updated with all our content. We're on Steemit, Gab, Minds, and ODYSEE networks, and live chat on the Matrix and Session networks. Links for those also in the description. We send out love to all our brothers and sisters. Stay blessed. VidarReturns.